Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Are They? My name is Oliver George, and I will be your host for this evening. Our subject is a man of many mysteries, which I will attempt to unravel through good humor, wit, and a large dose of kindness. Lord Sinister was born to Henry Pickett Sinister and Marianne Broadridge in the small Swiss village of Lucerne. His parents were the king and queen of the village, which actually makes his full name Lord Sinister. He is the oldest of 17 children, but also an only child and orphan after all 16 of his siblings and his parents died in the epic battle to protect their village from an invading group of outsiders. You see, Lord Sinister wasn't always a bad guy. It was this singular incident that set him down a dark road paved with anger and revenge. Now let's turn to the man himself, Lord Sinister. How are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing well, Oliver, and let me just tell you, it's so nice to hear you ask that question. People are always saying, here's Lord Sinister, run! But no one ever says, how's Lord Sinister? Run to the store and grab him some chips.
Oh yes, I'm sure. But can you blame him? You are a menacing looking fellow.
I understand, but looks don't define me. This isn't who I am on the inside.
Let's start right there. Tell me in your own words, who is Lord Sinister?
Well, that may be easier asked than answered. My life was destroyed and my entire family was murdered, and on my birthday no less.
Oh dear.
Having to spend your 13th birthday hiding in the woods from bloodthirsty invaders determined to kill you would make anyone a little bit angry.
Yes, I imagine you're right about that.
Once night fell, I was able to escape to the far side of the woods where I collapsed and cried myself to sleep. And it just so happens that during the night it started to snow steadily. I was just covered in snow. In fact, I would have frozen to death right there if it hadn't been for a group of cats that found me and saved my life. They laid on top of me like a fur blanket to keep me warm. When I awoke the next morning, our eyes met and they knew I needed help. They led me back to their home and what I found was an entire cat community there in the forest.
And they took you in?
No, not at first. You see, I was a stranger, an outsider, someone that reminded them of the abuse they had escaped. These weren't stray cats, they were runaways. They ran away from years of mistreatment and abuse by neglectful owners, and for me to suddenly arrive at their home where they felt safe caused tension in the group. What I learned later was that this group of cats that had rescued me were at odds with the ruling class of cats. The whole structure of their society was very similar to the one that I had left behind. There was a king cat and a queen cat and the whole royal family of cats that had been ordained by the cat god to lead this society. But the cats that had brought me there were advocating for change. They advocated for the goodness of all cats, regardless of their station in life. And they'd rescued me to prove a point to the other cats that there was such a thing as secular morality. The cat god hadn't told them to save me, they chose to. They could decide for themselves what was right and what was wrong. Most of the cat community supported this idea. They wanted to believe that the autonomy to choose between good and bad was within them and they didn't have to turn to a higher power. Of course, the king cat didn't agree, so he banished the group that had saved me to the cat desert. But he kept me in captivity, telling other cats that I was a savage they had rescued from the wilderness and that they were going to save me through the cat gospel. They forced me to spend hours studying the cat Bible, learning about Jesus cat. And when I resisted or didn't learn fast enough, I was brutally punished in terrible ways. Then I woke up one day and realized 10 years had gone by. I was no longer the 13-year-old boy who'd been brought into the village on the verge of death. Now I was a 23-year-old man, but the religious cat training had broken me. I'd given up hope that my life would ever change. I'd even forgotten about my village and the fact that my entire family was brutally murdered. Then one day, there was a massive explosion at the gates. I looked out the tiny window of my tiny room and saw that we were being invaded. The Cat King burst into my room and ordered me to use my superior size to protect his kingdom. So that's what I did. I went to the front lines prepared to die protecting my king. But when I got there, I was shocked by what I saw. The group of cats that had rescued me all those years ago had returned. They'd come back to save me again, and this time, they'd brought an army. I'm sorry, I just get so emotional when I tell this story.
Oh no, it's fine. In fact, why don't we go ahead and take a short break? We'll be back with more from Lord Sinister after a message from our sponsors. He was a lord, and then he lost it all in a vicious attack on his village. He was rescued by a pack of cats, only to be held prisoner for 10 years. Welcome back to my exclusive interview with Lord Sinister. Are you ready to go on now, sir?
Yes, Oliver, and thank you for your kindness. As I was saying, my friends had come back to save me, and when I realized this, I was overcome with happiness. Finally, my nightmare was over. I teamed up with them, and we destroyed anyone that stood in our way. The battle was bloody paw-to-paw combat, but my rescuers had been training, while the Cat King's army had grown fat and lazy. Once we'd overcome the resistance, we had a trial, but everybody already knew what the outcome was going to be. The Cat King Cat Queen, and the rest of their court were banished to the Cat Desert, which was basically a death sentence for cats like them.
It sounds like they got what they deserved.
You know, it taught me a lesson. After that, I knew what I'd have to do to right the wrongs of my village getting taken and my family getting slaughtered by the citizens. I'd seen what these cats have been willing to do to stand up to injustice, and I learned that evil cats triumph only when good cats do nothing, and that applies to people too.
Now this brings us up to the present moment. Is this when you began planning a return to your village?
It is, Oliver. I realized I had a choice to make. I could either spend the rest of my life living with these cats in their village, but I'd always have a fear in the back of my mind that the citizens could show up at any time and do to them what they'd done to me and my family. Or I could face that fear, confront evil, and take back what was rightfully mine.
So it seems to me that you've accepted a dangerous mission here, to go back to the place of your childhood and confront a group of people that have already shown themselves to be capable of great violence and great brutality. How do you plan on giving yourself a fighting chance?
Well, that brings me to the next part of my story. After the cat monarchy had been overthrown and replaced with cat democracy, we had our first election for cat president. To everyone's delight, the leader of the group of cats that had rescued me was elected as the first cat president. His name was George Washington. I spent some time talking with George about my desire to return to my home and retake my village from my enemies. We both agreed that I needed to learn how to fight. I spent months learning to be strong like a cat, agile like a cat, and sneaky like a cat. Then, after graduating from cat boot camp, it was time for me to strike out on my own. I said goodbye to George and the rest of my cat family and went looking for an army of my own.
Now why did you have to go it alone? Why didn't the cats help you out?
The danger was just too high. I couldn't ask them to risk another one of their 9 lives in another bloody battle. They'd already fought for their home. As far as I was concerned, they'd done enough. And so I went out looking for fighters in all the usual places. Bars, taverns, Walmart on Black Friday, but no one would join me. They just laughed and threw me out. I needed some way to show them I meant business. So I went looking for an outfit that said, "Don't mess with me." And that's how this look was created.
And I might say, it's a terrifying look.
Yes, I think I might have done the job too well. After that, I didn't have any problem recruiting. People tend not to argue with a gigantic axe.
No, I'd imagine they wouldn't. Now, I've been told that you brought some of your army with you to the studio today.
I did, Oliver, because I'm just so proud of them and where they've come from. I wanted to show them off.
Let's go ahead and bring out some of Lord Sinister's minions. There they are. What a tough-looking group of rabble-rousers. Why don't you go ahead and introduce us to a few of them?
Of course. These bright-looking young lads here are Jimmy and Timmy. They're twins and the youngest in the group. They just started the 9th grade and they love to play the video game Roblox. This is their older brother Gilgamesh. He enjoys eating the flesh off of humans and long walks on the beach. This right here is Brian. He does just wonderful with dogs. You should see him. It's just amazing. This here is Samuel. He's got a really cool trick. Show him your trick, Sam. Isn't that neat?
Very.
And this is Raul. He's able to summon satanic mummy spawns from heck. This is Vincent. He brought a couple of his pets to show off. They might be a little hard to catch.
Looks like we're gonna have to call animal control.
And this is Wendy. She's going to be our air support. And finally, this is my most loyal defender, the Harrison Guard. So this is the crew I've collected, and to be honest, we've grown really close over the past few months. They've pretty much become my new family. We have so many hopes and dreams for our future, and after we take back my village from the invading citizens, we'll be able to move on into the future with peace and love and never fight anyone ever again.
It's absolutely amazing to me that even through all the adversity and difficulties that life has thrown at you, you've still managed to be so positive and even form new groups of friends. So I have to ask, why go through with this revenge mission? Shouldn't you let the past stay in the past?
You know, Oliver, sometimes I ask myself the same question, but then I look out at the family I have here and I think, what would I do if they were all savagely slaughtered right in front of my eyes? Would I ever stop trying to avenge them? So this is really about honoring my old family. The way I see it, I owe it to them to at least try to get revenge on the evil citizens and reclaim my homeland.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your expectations for success?
Oh, definitely a 10, maybe even an 11. We are well equipped, well-trained, and ready for battle. Destroying the citizens should be no problem. Unless, of course, they get some kind of outside help, but who would ever help someone so evil and so vile?
Well, Lord Sinister, I have a surprise for you. My production team and I are gonna make your dreams come true right now. We've actually been on a train for this entire interview, and we are just now arriving at your former village. And since you're here with your army, we'd love to get some footage of you reclaiming your rightful homeland.
Oh my god, no way. This is so exciting. Thank you so much. I'm gonna cry. Alright gang, this is it. Let's go get revenge.